Right now on News 3, as bitter cold grips much of the Midwest, local shelters are extending a hand to those in need.
Plus, a day dedicated to the work and life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his impact felt right here in Madison. Straight ahead.
This is News 3 at 10.
And thanks for joining us tonight. Until late last week, we've had very little snow around Madison all winter long.
Last Friday's storm dropped several inches across the southern part of the state, and now we are getting ready for a second round tomorrow. Snow and perhaps some freezing rain will move in and be followed by bitter cold late in the week. The Prairie du Chien and Wazeeka school districts have canceled classes for tomorrow. No snow is expected tonight. It's just really cold outside right now, but 24 hours from now, that's going to be a completely different story. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti is in the backyard patio with our first alert forecast. Gary?
Yeah, you know, the temperatures are actually warmer now than they were at this time yesterday, but the wind is blowing, and this part of the building is not sheltered from a southeasterly wind, so it is very chilly out here. We have an alert day in the forecast for tomorrow and tomorrow night for occasional snow. Right now, the thinking is about 3 to 7 inches, but some of the very latest computer models are starting to bump those totals up by a couple of inches. Also, some freezing rain may be possible, mainly south of Madison. That may be a little bit less of a threat, according to the latest computer models, and that could indicate a little heavier snow to the south as well. Now, we have alert days in the forecast also for Friday and Saturday for bitter cold in the wake of the storm. Notice the wind chills down to 35 below zero Friday morning, 25 below zero Saturday morning, low temperatures from 5 to 10 below zero, and daytime highs staying in the single digits. Tonight, a few flurries out there. There could be a little patchy freezing drizzle mixed in as well. This isn't really amounting to very much, but the snow tomorrow, right now the thinking is about 4 to 7 inches, but again, these numbers may have to be increased according to some of the latest computer model information starting to come in. Winter storm warning already in effect west of Lone Rock and Wisconsin Dells. Winter storm watch for Dane County and areas to the north and east, including Madison. Winter weather advisories to the south. Last night was our coldest night in almost 5 years. We dropped to 14 below zero here in Madison. Our high temperature made it to 16, and temperatures are still in the teens right now. We're at 14, but we have brisk winds out of the southeast, and wind chills right now are dropping to around zero in case of Madison, actually 1 degree below zero. By tomorrow morning, temperatures should be in the middle teens. We'll see snow develop, especially by the afternoon and evening. And again, there could be a little freezing rain south of Madison with a high of 30. I'll tell you how much snow to expect, when it'll start, and then how cold it'll get in the wake of the storm.
All right, Gary, thank you. And as this latest storm approaches, we encourage you to download our Channel 3000 First Alert Weather and Traffic app. It is free. It includes our 12-hour and 10-day forecast and up-to-the-moment traffic information as well on the go. There is a group of residents in Madison that are affected even more when these extreme temperatures hit, those experiencing homelessness.
But there are places willing to help. New tonight, Amy Reed shows us how.
Let's color the candy.
Bianca and her girls aren't short on things to be grateful for. It's their first night in the shelter this winter, but still with the alternative, Bianca says she's blessed.
I agree with it being stressful, but I also agree with it being an amazing thing for them to allow the doors to be open for people that don't have anywhere to go, honestly. And people has been dying lately, you know, out in the cold because the temperatures are so low. So I think that that's a great thing.
She's one of many staying the night in the shelter, not wanting to face the cold and luckily not needing to.
We don't deny anyone because it's a cold weather day, so our numbers increase dramatically.
Mary Nicholson has worked at the shelter for 6 years. She said days like today push their capacity far past the normal of 45 single women and 22 families. She said it's stressful, but being able to provide that for someone is what brings her back.
There's not any staff here who doesn't have a sense of I would say pride in what we do because we're able to provide so much for these families, but also compassion for what they're going through and how hard this really is.
Earlier in the day, the families wouldn't have had many choices. The Beacon was one of only 2 places they could go, and like the other shelters, they pushed capacity today, though they're just happy they could help.
It's definitely very close to my heart, and I kind of look at everyone as my brothers and sisters, and I wouldn't want my sister to be out.
It's the mindset that makes Bianca see her situation as a blessing. At the end of the day, she's surrounded by the girls she loves in a place willing to help.
I'm pretty blessed to be able to say that me and my kids do have a roof over our heads.
These cold weather nights will likely be in effect all week. And with snow in the forecast, some shelters are expecting their busy day today to only get worse. Reporting in Madison, Amy Reed, WISC News 3.
With the increased need, these organizations are always looking for help.
We'll show you how you can do that online. Just go to our website, channel3000.com. The cold weather being blamed for triggering a power outage at Dane County Regional Airport. The power went out about 5:20 this morning. The backup generator didn't kick in. About 1,500 people were inside the airport at the time. All passengers, even those already through security screening, were brought back down to the main floor for security purposes. Dozens of flights were delayed. Around 3 hours later, the power was restored. MG&E declined an on-camera interview, but issued a statement saying in part, quote, to prevent a recurrence, a setting within an MG&E control system has been adjusted to accommodate the additional energy use due to the extreme weather. A spokesperson tells News 3 this was a unique incident and should not happen at any other locations. A 26-year-old man's in the hospital tonight with life-threatening injuries. Police say he accidentally shot himself in the leg.
This happened in a parking lot on Hometown Circle in Verona around 4 o'clock this afternoon. He was found unconscious in his car. Officers continue to investigate to ensure no crimes were committed. In Madison, police are trying to figure out who fired shots into an East Side home late last night. Police say someone fired 6 shots from a moving car on Clare Street just before midnight. Heather Dietzman and Kendrick Price were watching TV at their home when bullets came flying through their front window. The couple crawled to their basement to take cover. Kendrick's hand was hit with flying glass, but Heather was not injured. She's pregnant and says she was scared for her and her baby.
We've not slept, racking our brains, trying to figure out, who could have done this, why this could have been done, but we can't come up with anything.
Officers are still looking for suspects. Anyone with information is asked to call the Madison Police Department or Crime Stoppers.
Day 31 now, the partial government shutdown, easily now the longest shutdown in U.S. history. And over the weekend, the president offered a proposal to end the impasse. That deal would include a 3-year extension for the Dreamers and recipients of temporary protected status in exchange for $5.7 billion for a border wall. Democrats have already rejected it. On Twitter, the president has been praising the economy and calling federal workers patriots. Those impacted by the shutdown will miss a second full paycheck if the government is not reopened soon. Another prominent Democrat joins the 2020 presidential race. California Senator Kamala Harris made it official today, announcing her presidential plans on Martin Luther King Day. She joins a growing field of Democratic hopefuls. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand announced her candidacy last week. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren launched her exploratory committee on New Year's Eve. Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard also made her presidential aspirations known this month, along with former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Julian Castro.
President Trump made a brief, unannounced visit to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial on the National Mall today in recognition of the holiday honoring the civil rights leader. The president laid a wreath at the foot of the memorial alongside Vice President Mike Pence before quickly returning to his motorcade. Hundreds of people packed the Overture Center's Capitol Theater to honor Dr. King tonight.
At the annual King Holiday Observance, our Keely Arthur was there and joins us with what happened there tonight. Keely?
Well, the Madison and Dane County King Holiday Observance is in its 34th year, but the energy surrounding the event and the meaning behind it hasn't lost any steam.
We cannot tolerate it any longer.
Words spoken and lessons taught by Martin Luther King Jr. so many years ago, hitting home in present-day Madison.
He actually represents freedom and equality and opportunity.
I can remember when we used to fight for a holiday for him, and I never thought the holiday would ever come. And now it's like a big event.
A big event indeed here at the Overture Center Capitol Theater.
I grew up in the era of Martin Luther King as a child, and I remember many of the movements during that time. And just to be able to be here today and see that people are still recognizing him and giving him respect is really awesome for me.
What would Martin say if he were here today?
It's the 34th annual Madison and Dane County King Holiday Observance, fittingly titled The Legacy Continues, as people like Petra LaDonna and other generations who learned of Dr. King in their history books came together.
Why is it important for you to learn about Martin Luther King?
Because if he didn't do what he did, like it wouldn't be how it is right now. Like I feel like some things would still be the same from like 50 years ago.
I really liked what Martin Luther King did and how he inspired other people to stand up for their beliefs.
Beliefs that have stood the test of time and will be honored around the globe and in Madison for years to come.
It's a very distinctive part of the city of Madison, and I think it's something that needs to keep going.
Cheryl Brown Henderson was the event's keynote speaker. She is the daughter of the late Reverend Oliver L. Brown, who filed suit on behalf of his children against a local school board. Their case later became known as the landmark Brown versus the Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas.
A very important moment in history and an important night tonight in Madison. Keely, thank you.
This afternoon, students, alumni, and community members were joined by a special guest at Union South to celebrate Dr. King and his work. Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes is only the second African American to be elected to statewide office. Although he was just sworn in 2 weeks ago today, Barnes noted it's more about making a difference than just getting elected.
The work that we do is incumbent upon, having the support of people across the state. And that means young people. That means people of color, diverse communities who haven't always had their voices represented or heard in government. And it's time to change that.
And inside the Capitol building today, another special event. Musicians played to a full house inside the rotunda. Governor Evers was in attendance along with Speaker Rita Coburn, who is an award-winning director, writer, and producer who says beyond celebrating Dr. King's actions, today is a day to make sure we're keeping his ideals alive when dealing with issues we still face today, like racism, sexism, and gun violence. Still ahead tonight at 10, your full forecast with a closer look at tomorrow's snowstorm.
Plus on lockdown for more than a week straight now. We'll have an update from Columbia County Correctional when News 3 at 10 returns. Stay with us.
Welcome back. The Columbia Correctional Institution is going into its 8th day of being on lockdown.
The Department of Corrections tells us lockdowns are usually to search for any contraband that might have been introduced to the prison, but they did not comment if that was the reason for this lockdown. In the meantime, visits are restricted. One woman tells us her husband, who is in the prison, says no one there can have any communication with anyone outside of prison walls at this time.
Been visiting my husband in prison for the last 10 years, and there hasn't been a lockdown to this effect. And I've heard of several instances where there has been drugs or weapons or violence and rape and all of those type of things, and there has never been a lockdown for 8 days.
The Department of Corrections tells us they don't know when the lockdown will end. Anyone with questions can email them at docmedia@wisconsin.gov.
Cleanup is underway at the Engineering Center's building on the UW campus after a fire scare this afternoon. Smoke could be seen coming from the building, and fire alarms were going off around 1:30. Police say after a sweep of the building, they determined the smoke was coming from a large oven in the basement. The building did suffer some damage because the fire sprinklers were activated and the building was closed for the rest of the day. The scene was cleared 3 hours later. The building may reopen tomorrow.
The recent cold we've seen here in Madison being felt all around the Midwest and in the Northeast. And this fountain froze at a Midtown Manhattan park in New York City, and ice jams were seen up and down the St. Clair River north of Detroit, and that is causing some flooding there. On top of the concern over the cold weather, more snow is heading our way, as our chief meteorologist Gary Canolti has indicated, and he joins us now with a more extensive look at our forecast. Gary?
Yes, Eric, we're expecting the snow. It's going to be followed by another shot of even colder air than we have now. So get set for it. This is your warning. We have an alert day for tomorrow for occasional snow, about 3 to 7 inches by Wednesday morning. Some of the very latest computer models are now starting to bring those totals up by about 1 or 2 inches. There could be some freezing rain south of Madison. That might be a little bit of a lesser threat with the latest computer models coming in a little bit colder. So a little more snow, maybe a little bit less in the way of freezing rain. But following the snow by Friday and Saturday, some of the coldest air of the season reaches us, with temperatures down to about 10 below zero by Friday morning, 6 below zero by Saturday morning. Daytime high temperatures struggling to get into the teens on Friday morning, and then or struggling to get above zero on Friday morning, and staying in the single digits on Saturday. Wind chills even during the day staying below zero for that whole time period. Snow totals right now, we're thinking about 4 to 7 inches from Madison northward, a little bit less to the south, assuming that there's some freezing rain mixed in. If that's not the case, these numbers could come up a little bit. These could also come up a little bit as well, according to the very latest computer models. Now, as we take a look at Doppler track tonight, there are some light snow showers and flurries. Shouldn't amount to very much. There could even be a little freezing drizzle mixed in. But the main part of the storm still back to the southwest. It's not really even on the map yet, so it'll be a while before we see that. Winter storm warnings are in effect already from southwestern Wisconsin through northern Iowa. Winter storm watches from Dane County and Madison to the north and east. Winter weather advisories to the south and to the north cover the rest of the state of Wisconsin. Now, instead of showing you the actual computer model numbers, I want to show you some of the factors that we look at when we look at the potential for a snowstorm. Of course, we have the different computers, and the information that we get from them, we also not only look at the numbers, but we look at some of the factors that go into what those numbers are. And we look at the path, if it's following a good path for the storm, the length of the precipitation, is it a quick hitter or is the precipitation drawn out over a longer period, the amount of precipitation that's available for snow, and then come up with a final total. Anything with an L is a low for about less than 3 inches of snow. An H would be more than 6 inches of snow, and an M would be somewhere in the middle between about 3 and 6 inches. So you can see what all the computer models are showing right now. The GFS computer model with the highest totals so far. The European computer model somewhere in the medium to high range, somewhere around 6 inches. The North American mesoscale now coming in with heavier amounts of snow. The RPM computer model, or day-to-day model, a little bit lower, somewhere in the low to medium range. So overall, the consensus is somewhere in the medium to high range, which would put us somewhere around 6 inches, but some areas would be a little bit more than that. A few areas would be a little bit less than that. So those are all the things that we look into. But again, we have to wait for it to start snowing and see what the final amounts turn out to be. The Edgewater Skycam view, no flurries here yet. Low this morning, 14 below zero. The last time we were that cold was February 11th of 2014. It's been about 5 years. The high temperature for today did make it up to 16. We're 14 now with a wind chill of -1 thanks to a brisk southeasterly wind. So our forecast includes winter storm warnings for southwestern Wisconsin through midnight midnight tomorrow night. Winter storm watch from Dane County to the north and east, and winter weather advisories to the south and to the north. Look for a low of about 12 in the next couple of hours and rising temperatures overnight with some drizzle or flurries. Tomorrow, a high of 30, snow developing by afternoon. Could be mixed with some freezing rain south of Madison. Future track shows the snow staying to our north tonight, but then tomorrow it overspreads much of southern Wisconsin. Then it continues tomorrow night before tapering to flurries early on Wednesday. If it lingers a little bit longer on Wednesday, of course, the snow totals will be a little bit higher, but temperatures will turn cold in the wake of that storm. Again, with another 4 to 6 inches or more of snow on the ground, we're going to be looking at temperatures really cold by the end of the week. In fact, probably down to about 2 for a high end Friday with low temperature near 10 below zero, wind chills down to 35 below zero. Then another chance for some snow from later Sunday into Monday. Guess what? Another shot of cold air following that with below zero temperatures and daytime highs in the single digits. So winter is here for a while, especially with that fresh snow on the ground.
Oh, you're not kidding, Gary. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Giannis leads the Bucks to another win at Fiserv Forum. We'll have a report from Milwaukee just ahead in sports.
It was all set up for the Milwaukee Bucks at Fiserv Forum this afternoon. The Bucks are one of the best teams in the league. The Dallas Mavericks, one of the worst. And you guessed it, the Bucks won. Quite a day for Mavs rookie Luka Doncic. He became only the second teenager to get a triple-double in an NBA game. 18 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Doncic is 19 years old. The Sixers' Markelle Fultz was 10 days younger when he got a triple-double. But the Bucks have Giannis, and that's a big deal. 31 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists for the man they call the Greek Freak. Final score, Bucks 116, Mavericks 106. Bucks now 34-12. That's the best record in the entire NBA. They've won 5 straight, 12 of their last 14. More in today's game from Melissa Kim in Milwaukee.
Well, it's definitely a tale of two halves in this game, with the Bucks not playing their best ball in the first half, but definitely picking things up and playing a little more inspired in the second half on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And head coach Mike Budenholzer definitely aware of his team's lack of defense in the first half.
Give our guys a lot of credit for the third quarter there. I think that's, changed the game, holding them to 25 and us getting 35. And then we kind of hung on there late. But overall, a really good second half.
We played unbelievable. We played resilient. We never stopped coming at them. They did a great job, making shots. But, I thought we, kept, our foot on the gas.
And part of that inspiration was Sterling Brown. He hit 3 3-pointers and scored a total of 11 points off the bench.
I'm super comfortable. I got the utmost confidence in myself, and my teammates do as well. So they look for me, and I just try to run the floor, get to my spot, and knock it down.
I think the way he shot the ball, you feel like when he's in the corner, he's got an open corner three, he's going to make them. His poise when he's shooting, I think has been impressive. And I think he's in a good rhythm. He's in a good place.
Now, the Bucks may have the best record in the NBA, but according to Sterling Brown, they haven't really done anything yet. And a few familiar faces on the other side in this game. Former Memorial standout Wesley Matthews contributing 15 points for the Mavericks, while Devin Harris, the former Big Ten Player of the Year and Wisconsin Badger, scoring 9. Our Kevin Lewis will have more on those two local guys coming up a little bit later this week. At Fiserv Forum, Melissa Kim, News 3 Sports.
We've had some great finishes in our Prep Mania games of the week the last few weeks. Probably another one Thursday when Madison East visits Madison Memorial in a Big 8 boys basketball game. John Boyle and I bringing that game Thursday night, 7:15 on channel3000.com. After its upset of second-ranked Michigan last Saturday, the Badger men's basketball team heads to Illinois for its next game Wednesday night at 8. Illinois has only one Big Ten win, but that was a shocking 95-68 win over Minnesota last week. Big game in the Big Ten tonight. 7-1 Maryland at 7-0 Michigan State. The Spartans win convincingly. Watch Cassius Winston with the fancy move. 14 points, 7 assists for Winston. Sparty still undefeated in the Big Ten. Final score, Michigan State 69, Maryland 55. And we'll be right back.
Finally tonight, with some help from Mother Nature, the Lake Geneva ice castles will open Wednesday after being delayed several weeks.
These castles are made entirely from ice and feature tunnels, fountains, slides, and towers, combined with color-changing LED lights, and music tickets on sale right now.
Gary joins us with the final check of the forecast.
Yeah, lots going on. Here are the snowfall totals we've been projecting. If the latest computer model forecasts are correct, we might have to add an inch or two to these numbers, and the snow might linger just a little bit longer into Wednesday morning. So we'll have to see. Right now, winter storm warnings already in effect west of a Platteville to Lone Rock to Wisconsin Dells line. East of there, winter storm watch, Dane County and areas to the northeast. Winter weather advisories down toward the Illinois state line and north of the Dells. After the snow and freezing rain, look at those temperatures. By Friday morning, down to 9 below zero, and wind chills down to 35 below.
Thanks for joining us.
Do something good. We'll see you tomorrow.